What's happening, buddy? Hey, welcome to another video. In this one, I'd like to talk for a couple of minutes about what a lot of photographers probably consider one of their bad habits, yet I want you to consider if at times maybe it's a good habit to have. So what's a bad habit that a lot of photographers have? Gas. And I don't mean that kind of gas, you know what I'm talking about. Gear acquisition syndrome. A lot of photographers have it, me included. I'm not here to say that I'm above that because I'm certainly not. When do I think it's bad to have gas? I think when you're a new photographer and you're just starting out and you don't really know what you don't know yet. You don't necessarily even know what it is you want to photograph. You certainly don't know what focal lengths you like to use, right? I mean, you may say, well, I want to be a landscape photographer. Okay. Landscape photographers use anything from, who knows, 10 millimeter up to 400 millimeter and everywhere in between. What kind of landscapes do you like to take? Well, I want to be a portrait photographer. Okay. 50 millimeter, 85, 105, 135, 70 to 200, 300. A lot of lens choices. You can't go out and buy them all unless you won the Powerball last week. So I think when you're a new photographer, learn how to be a photographer. Don't worry about acquiring gear. Get a camera body that'll do enough to get you started. Get yourself a kit lens, maybe one more, and find out what it is you really want to photograph. Develop a style. That's when I think gas can be bad. It's a beautiful blue sky morning out here in South Florida, and it's a little cool and humidity's really low, which is why I like this time of year, mid-late October. You get a lot of these days. Perfect for infrared. So I'm out here with my infrared camera. I'll give you another example. When I first decided to maybe try infrared, did I want to use a filter? Did I want to get a converted camera? What was the range I wanted to use? You know, did I want a full spectrum camera? What lens would be the best to use? Okay? I didn't have all those answers. And so consequently, you kind of have to work through that a little bit. And then once you hone in on it, then you go and get the camera body that you want, maybe one lens that you can use for infrared and also for other things that you like. But then maybe gas is good to some degree because you already understand what it is that you're looking for. But you had to do your research and take the time to go through all that. Sometimes it might come down to when is good enough, or when is something good enough for your use case. Another example, you know, for a lot of my portraits for my family, my grandkids, my kids, my wife, I use the Nikon 85-1.8 S lens. That's a beautiful lens. Would the 1.2 85 millimeter 1.2 be better? If I was in a studio, I'd say yes. For me, wandering around chasing little kids in a big heavy lens outside, no. You know, it wouldn't be. The 85 is better. So that's just another example of, do I really need what a lot of people would consider the better lens? It's not the better lens for my use case. And so sometimes you have to consider that as well. I'm sure you do, but you know, sometimes that's where having too much gas can get you in trouble. You go out and spend too much money on a lens that just isn't, it might be the better lens, but it's not the lens for you. You need to decide what it is you like to photograph and how important it, you know, perfection, how important that is to you. You know, for example, the Nikon 24-120 S lens, that's my kind of jack of all trade lens. I can use that for travel. I can use that for landscapes. I've used it for shooting wildlife. If you look at some of my bird photography, I could probably even use it for portraits if I wanted to. So that's my jack of all trade lens. That lens I'll always keep. I've pretty much settled on 85mm for my portraits, and I like the Nikon 85-1.8. Again, the 1.2 is just too big and too heavy for me, and I don't really need it. For indoor stuff, that's what I'm still trying to settle on. I have the Voigtlander 50mm Apo lens, the f2, beautiful lens. Now, again, I know that I shoot a lot of black and white, so I need a lens that's going to have a lot of contrast to it. But it took me a while to learn that, and so then gas is okay, because you can keep honing in on, okay, what lenses will really do that. Like that Nikon lens, I can get pretty good contrast out of that lens for portraits. At times when I want maybe something a little softer, this is why I'm considering maybe a Leica 50mm Summicron. But I don't know if it's going to be more contrasty, less contrasty. I still have to do a little bit of research on it and maybe adapting that lens. Some people say, oh no, that's terrible to put it on a Z system. It's not going to work right. And other people say it will work great. So again, it's more research, and I may have to rent that lens just to try it for myself. But again, as you get better at photography, you'll start honing in on those kind of things. I guess for me is a couple things when it comes to gas. When is good enough good enough? When do you find those 3 or 4 lenses that just covers everything you want to do and you're done? I hope there's going to come a time when I reach that day. I really do. I guess part of the enjoyment is always learning about new lenses and what they can do, what they can't do, and trading them around. Maybe that's part of the hobby of photography, and maybe that's where gas isn't quite so bad, because it's what you like to do. Maybe it is. I don't know. I guess that's for each person to decide for themselves. When is good enough good enough? When do you stop trying to seek perfection with every lens? Not every lens is perfect. I'm not sure there is any perfect lenses. There are lenses that have different characteristics that do different things. So at times maybe you do need 2 50mm lenses, maybe even 3, I don't know, that have different characteristics that do different things. My Nikon 50-1.8 is different than my Voigtlander Apo, even though they're both 50mm. The Nikon 1.8 is a beautiful lens, maybe a little bit more clinical than the Apo lens. I don't know, some people might think the Apo lens is a little bit more clinical. I think that obviously one's autofocus and the Voigtlander's manual focus, so that's a big difference. Personally, I think there's a little bit more saturation with the Apo lens. When do you need that? Well, maybe for black and white, maybe for landscapes. So those are kind of things that I always think about. But the greater point is that I'm trying to make in this video is that running around and buying gear isn't going to make you, in my opinion, a better photographer. Sometimes running around and buying gear can help you achieve the goal that you're trying to set for yourself. Then it can. When I upgraded from the Z7 II to the Z8, that definitely helped me achieve a goal because it has better autofocus. It just does. I've said this many times on my videos, if I was just shooting landscapes, I would have stuck with the Z7 II, because that would have met my use case, would have met my goals. So I think once you learn what it is you like to do with photography, then you can start fine-tuning your camera body and your lenses and things like that. I just wanted to offer a few words of mumbo jumbo, I guess. If you did like and learn anything, please like and subscribe. And until next time, take good care.